Hi, I'm Javaune Simpson, and welcome back to Speak Up. Now, for today's topic, we're talking about. Hi, I'm Javaune Simpson, and welcome back to Speak Up. Now, for today's topic, we'll be talking about the 15% increase that was actually announced 2 to 3 days ago over the news. And since then, many persons have been, chiming in, giving their views on this topic. And so I decided that it's probably a good discussion to have on Speak Up. And so I invited two lovely sisters to speak with me here and speak up, along with the opportunity for you to hear other persons' views, in which would have sent in their voice notes. And so I'll play those and then get right into the discussion with two lovely sisters.
For me, I understand what the 15% increase is supposed to represent, which is in a certain sense, a PR move by the government and also an indication of compassion because they wouldn't have gotten an increase in 80 years. The general consensus from what I've seen in the news is that the taxi operators are complaining that it is not sufficient. Considering the financial bind we are in as a country, it is almost indicative of how selfish we are as a people. Because if you want, I understand the need and you have all of your obligations to deal with. But consider that the person who is working minimum wage, who generally has to take the taxi, who gets paid fortnightly, they don't get paid more than probably it's what 7,200 now. So they now get paid more than 15 grand every fortnight on average. And in some cases that's before tax. And you have to give and take. So if it's 15% now, we get the issue in terms of when again, but you can't, there has to be some consideration of your passengers.
Big up Javaune and speak up. This is my view, right? We understand that since last year it has been a very, very trying time for a number of people. We have a lot of people that have lost their jobs. We have a lot of people that have had to move out of their dwelling places. Some people still don't find anywhere to live yet. People still have to buy food. They have to buy the necessities of life. Some of them being very sensitive in nature, medication, all of this. With that, we had increases where you can, the things that you usually buy for $5,000, let's say you normally take $5,000 to the market or the supermarket. Obviously, when you go to with the same amount of money, no, you're getting less things. And that is all with the other variables in your life that require money being unchanged. We understand that for some areas that the taxi men the bus drivers, they've been having issues, especially with the increase in gas and all of that. And that is all good and well. However, we have to take into consideration that whilst they can say, because we all know, even though we tell them, say, 3 people in a vehicle, 3 people in a row, that's not happening. So they've been making up for their shortfall by packing more people in the vehicle. So with this increase, that they, I'm sure, will be demanding come Monday morning, will they be carrying just the number of people that they should bring? That's number one. And two, if it is that a person now needs to fork over extra money, no razor pay, right? Food already increased. They need to fork out extra money. Then it is only fair that it be calculated to the T, right? And when I say that, I'm not being not playing devil's advocate. So we understand you can run it off to the nearest dollar. This simply means that if it's $100 the route usually charge, then now it's $115 and not a penny more.
Here's the video.
So welcome back, guys, to Speak Up. So today we have with us here Shin and Shereese, who will be giving their views as it pertains to the topic that we're discussing currently. What do we think about the increase of the bus and taxi fare by 16%. We would have already seen on the news that is it. You're not one of the persons here, Shereese, who didn't necessarily know about the increase of the fare until I actually messaged her. Right, Shereese?
Yes, yeah. About 2 days ago. About 2 days ago.
So that was pretty interesting within itself. So I'll definitely have to start with Shereese first. You hearing about the increase, just at the appointed moment in which I actually messaged you, what was going through your mind at that point in time? What do you think about the increase of 15%?
I mean, honestly, when I heard about the increase, I felt like it was warranted. The price of petroleum has increased, so I think it's only fair that the price of the fare increased just as well, because that would mean that we're going to have our bus drivers, taxi drivers bringing us from point A to point B, and we're paying the same fare, but they're paying a different cost in petroleum. So it was warranted.
All right, well said. So I guess Shereese is representing the taxi and busman. Because she took from a very practical side to say here what petroleum has raised several times, as a matter of fact. I believe this is probably the third time in 2 months. In 2 months, that's actually raised. Along with that, we have that the dollar, the Jamaican dollar, is what we know in Jamaica today. What is dollar, right? Right, Sid?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. All right, cool. So, bringing something into the discussion now, what do you think about the 15% increase?
Just like the first aspect of the question, my initial reaction was, for the people and for even myself as a beneficiary of just the whole transportation entity, like I felt sad somewhat, but at the same time, I knew it was inevitable and it was reasonable. Secondary to, as you said before, inflation and just the whole pandemic and how it has impacted everybody's economy and so forth. I think every Jamaican that heard this news 2 days ago saw them and from them head or protest. Mommy, sister, daughter, taxi driver, hospital worker, it's just right across the board. Everybody is going to feel it. I'm assuming that even the person's government making this decision was not very simple, but as we can see, if we really take this whole thing in perspective and not just the shallow end of, okay, this is impacting me, it's impacting everybody, that really and truly it was a decision that would have been difficult to make. With that said, I agree that it's something that we could not put aside, set aside because of all that's happening. And one of the factors that I think really influenced this rising price, as was accounted for, is the international increase in the market for fuel.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So I think I should tell the viewers to just, look out for Shereese and things in the future. Somewhere in the parliament, they seem as though they're going to go into parliament. Because they're giving very, very politically correct answers. And let me not downplay your response. That's true though. For me personally, I do agree with you. With both of you, as a matter of fact, as it pertains to the fact that gas increase, the dollar, what it does say, and taking into consideration the fact that taximen and busmen have families to feed and all these things. But one of the questions that many persons are asking is that if it is that transportation fees have risen, what about fees for the general public? Because we realize that not only transportation fees have risen by 15% now, but we realize that food has risen. So I see you guys, I see ladies with your lovely drinks in front of you. I'm pretty sure by next week, 2 weeks, time or 3 weeks time, the price for that drink will raise because of the dollar still. What persons have as a concern now is that here what our pay hasn't risen at all. No reason at I don't know if you guys pay a raise, but mine a raise. So that's the concern. What do you think about that? Because given that you're paying, you're getting the same pay, but now you're expected to pay far more for transportation.
Yeah, I see you mentioned that you don't want to underplay your response, but you actually did. I will forgive you for that. Not to say like in a reasonable sense that yes, I agree with decision means for me that I am content and rejoicing that yes, it did happen when it do. Even though I might not carry across that emotional aspect of it, for me, yeah, we have a plate before us and I'm grateful for that. But for me, it's not just about me and even my family, it's about the whole Jamaican. And yeah, as I mentioned before, the taxi man, the man we done already couldn't afford the bus fare. As I'm currently a physiotherapy intern, and one of the roles that I have been playing in the pandemic is being a part of the healthcare system and just being able to work with patients and stuff. And even though transportation may seem like a far-fetched thing in regards to health, it is not. We have in the public health system now that a lot of the patients, mind you, the appointments already are far off because of factors that we can't control. And even with that, some of the reasons why our patients don't return for the far set appointment is one of these factors, transportation. They can't afford. Some people, for example, a type A hospital like KPH, we have people coming from Westmoreland, we have people coming from Portland, we have people coming from all over to access healthcare. Mm-hmm. So it's good that you're calling these things in consideration because it's not just like this fear thing, it's not just isolated to one sphere of things. It's really impacting the health sector, education, everything, because transportation is really how we really get about, like literally. And so, going back on your point and not straying too far, what does this mean for the person who could not already afford it? It is devastating, utterly devastating. So people can sit back and say, oh, it's just $15, but when compiling that $15, I could not already afford the minus $15. You get me? I know that $15 is now in account, and I'm fine. And I'm thinking, well, if me done already can't find bread, because we know the attrition and the employment and how that has been. A lot of people losing their jobs. Right. People just panicking. People just trying to make it through. But the next aspect of our culture is that when we cook, when we can't afford things as Jamaicans, the first thing we do, we go look at tree and we go pick something and we try to make a dinner. But curfew and the limitation of COVID, just having to stay in your house, right? That's how people, crush things, So for me, I get that heart of devastation of the people, and I can totally relate to it. Independent of if today we'll have a drink to drink. Like the impact is not just with the poor and impoverished, it's not just with the middle class, it's right throughout the stratum of just the whole influence throughout Jamaica, and I'm getting internationally as well,
Yeah, I actually agree with that point as well. And just to answer the question as it relates to, impacting with regard to the increase of the fare and also the increase in food, I think that with COVID still being around, I don't know why it's still there because the people I leave from now, but I think with COVID and everything, we've actually been looking towards seeing some changes, and I guess this is the change. Just like COVID, we would have to, or we're going to have to adjust to these costs. We would have known that, since COVID, there has been some deflation as far as food is concerned, which is why there's a cost increase. So I would try to come up with, a reason to say, hey, food really shouldn't raise because of whatever. But at this time, I think we're importing more goods as well. So I think that is one of the reasons why there has actually been an increase in foods. I haven't heard as far as farmers and stuff like that. So I don't want to speak on that because I don't really know that part of it and how that would be affecting the increase in food if we're not farming more or farmers are not getting enough.
I mean, it would stand because limitations of curfew and limitations.
Right.
We have so much limitation dealing with it now, and just to see a point there, outside of the pandemic, we have to also consider the fact that it's been 8 years or so since we had any experience. So, as sad as it is, it's somewhat beyond reasonable that it would raise because it's like it's not taking away the detrimental effect of it, but
I mean, we still can protest though, but yeah.
Come on.
Well, all right. So I get what you ladies are saying, and I really do agree with you, to be honest. But I was speaking to a friend earlier, and he would have sent in a voice note, and that will be played on the show. However, one of our points was that, and it was something that I was thinking about a lot as well. We know that in Jamaica we're very aggressive as a people, right? And because of this aggression, people, for those of you who don't know, that person that put up her hand a while ago is very aggressive as well. Don't let the size fool you, right? in talking about the aggression that we have as people, one of the points put forward by this person is that, hear what? Let's say for somebody who needs to pay $100, now the 15% increase should be $115 in total for their fare, right? Let's say you pay $120 and you're expecting to get your $5 change, but we know taximan and busman pay and conductor pay. Say, no man, that's pay, man, I'm not change, man, and them go around the thing the whole drive. So by the time you come out for the bus or the taxi, you're not getting a change, you're not getting a $5 change. And then the thing is that what you're going to say to you is that I got $5, right? And we know how aggressive people are. So I guess the question that I have for you ladies is that what do you think about that aspect of it? So come Monday morning, which is August 16th, we're expecting that this 15% increase will be a thing, right? A real thing, right? And so persons will be adding on the 15%. With all that in perspective, what do you think about the aggression that persons will be shown? Are shown whether by the taxi driver or the busman, or shown by the persons who are customers of these persons? Shereese, let me start with you, since you are the aggressor in this field.
It's actually funny that you actually spoke about that because we were actually having the same conversation earlier, saying, hey, bus fare is $115 now, but say nobody now get back no change. Taxi, you're gonna take the taxi, them now gonna have no change. And even if you take a bus and the busman have change, as you said, you're gonna say, well, it's just $5 and stuff like that. Me personally, me plan to fight everybody with take my $5. I don't know about anybody else, but that's what I plan to do, jungle justice, because I'm not gonna call the police because I'm not get back my $5. Maybe Chin have another, perception of this. Me, my views, we're gonna fight them. Jungle justice. Yes, do them. Right true. Right true.
And one of the things that we were touching on, like to add to that exploit, before the fare raise, we were saying that in COVID time, illegally and illegitimately, taxis have been charging people like well over the $15.
Mm-hmm.
I heard friends say like the bus fare double, $200 when it's supposed to be, things like that. These things just kind of point us to the greater issue.
Right.
So the bus fare, for me, the raising the fare, yes, it's a thing that had to be done, but also it kind of upheave the deeper issue that we have. Is not just about fare raise, because there's other factors. One, our government knew that these things were coming. what are some of the things that they did to alleviate it? That's a question mark there. 2, we are having this behavioral problem in the transportation thing. And I know politically they have said that they have done some behavioral thing to mitigate that, but are we seeing the manifest of that? Obviously, something needs to be reinforced. And we go back to the justice system and you realize that there's deeper problem than this superficial aspect of just raising the fear. Right. And then we also go back to the essence of what is the proper solution? Okay, even though this is a reasonable decision to make, we still have the issue of people not being able to afford it. And we trace it back, it gone back to food, it gone back to our basic needs. We're compromising now on these things. What are our government doing to either mitigate or either coming and try to say, okay, how can we solve the deeper issue than this fear race? Because it's attached to so much different spheres. And for me, that's the most devastating aspect of this, not the mere aspect of the notion that yes, fear is. But when I think about the man them, and as I said, from a professional perspective, that I'm working in the medical field as an intern, and I have come across so much people unable to access healthcare because of transportation. And so for me, the essential aspect of it is really how much these things are tied to, and what are we doing? I personally, nobody don't bash me for this, but I personally do not think that our decision in this time of pandemic are being thought through thoroughly. Yes, this thing had to be done, but you knew that this was coming. It's not a surprise.
Right.
What was the setup?
And if it is a surprise, that is concerning.
Yeah, I don't feel like the follow through is being done.
Right.
Excellent point, ladies.